You know what's wild? Sometimes the person who doubts you the most is the one you love the hardest. That's where my story begins, on a rooftop, where the city's lights glimmered just beyond my reach, and the only thing colder than the night air was the man across from me. That was the night Gabriel told me, after 3 years together, that I just didn't match his ambition, all because I didn't have a degree. He'd landed an international MBA spot, and apparently, his new life didn't have space for a cafe worker who never finished school. I tried to laugh it off, play it cool, but my hands shook under the table. That's how fast life can flip. 1 minute you're dreaming about the future, the next you're too embarrassed to meet his eyes. So I stood up, dignity barely intact, and promised myself I would never let anyone measure my worth by a piece of paper ever again. I love to tell you I was tough, but that first week was brutal. Every time I poured coffee or cleaned a table, I heard Gabriel's words echo in my head. I need someone who matches my ambition on paper. That's the kind of thing that gets under your skin. I came home, collapsed on the floor, and Grace, my oldest friend, found me staring at the ceiling like I'd just watched my life burn down. She sat beside me, and I finally said it. He left because I didn't have a degree. Grace is one of those rare people who can make you feel seen without needing to fix you. She said, "You have depth, Camila." Some people can't read between the lines, even with all their education. I wanted to believe her, but all I could think was that maybe I'd just been convenient easy to walk away from when something shinier came along. A week later, Gabriel made sure I saw him move on. There he was, arm wrapped around a woman with lighter skin and a dress that looked expensive, smiling for the world on social media. "No bad blood," the message said. As if dumping someone because they can't afford tuition is just part of moving up in life. I blocked him, deleted his number, and spent the evening cleaning until my hands hurt. Grief's funny like that. It makes you either break down or break out the mop. Grace came home, took one look at my cleaning through heartbreak act, and said, "Let it drive you, but don't let it define you." And for the first time, I thought, maybe I could turn pain into fuel. So I did the hardest thing. I walked into Lagos City Polytechnic, head held high, to sign up for night classes. I felt old, out of place, scared, but I did it anyway. It wasn't about Gabriel anymore. It was about building a table of my own, one no one could pull out from under me. My days were cafe shifts, my nights were textbooks, and my weekends were whatever rest I could steal. There were moments I thought I'd break, nights when the only thing keeping me awake was the fear of failing, but Grace kept showing up with food, jokes, and pep talks. "Nothing worth having ever feels easy at the start," she said, and maybe she was right. There were times late at night, sprawled on the tile floor, doing business management problems, that I almost gave up. You know what's funny? I told Grace. Gabriel always said I lacked ambition, but he never once asked why I delayed school or how hard I'd worked just to survive. Grace just shook her head. Some people are more interested in packaging than process. That stuck with me. Life was my teacher long before I ever walked into a classroom. Fast forward, and I'm sitting for my first big exam, surrounded by kids half my age, my hands clammy but my heart weirdly steady. I wasn't trying to prove anything to Gabriel anymore, just to myself. When the results came in, I passed, not with fireworks, but with a quiet pride that hummed inside me all day. Graduation came faster than I thought. Grace fixed my cap, grinned. "Even your shadow looks smarter today." I nearly cried. In that courtyard, with parents and music and cameras everywhere, I felt like I'd finally crossed over into a place no one could say I didn't belong. But life's got a sense of irony, right? While I was building, Gabriel was climbing his own ladder, corporate job, MBA on the wall, cocktail parties with people who'd never known struggle. When his name popped up on a list of departments I had to review at my new company, Zanira, it wasn't personal. His numbers were good, but the reports from his team? Not so much. Turns out, you can stack credentials sky high, but if people can't stand to work for you, all that paper doesn't matter. I recommended a leadership reassignment, and the decision landed on Gabriel's desk with my signature. You ever see a person realize they're not untouchable? It's something. The night of the executive cocktail, I walked in emerald dress, quiet steps, and the room started to shift. People whispered, "That's Camila OAE, VP of Strategy." When Gabriel saw me, glass midair, his whole face changed. The guy who once thought I wasn't enough had to accept a letter from me about his new project liaison role. It wasn't revenge. It was just balance. The funny thing is, closure doesn't come from watching someone fall. It comes from choosing not to shrink. Gabriel came to my office a few days later, said, "I didn't recognize your worth when I had the chance." I told him, "What you're feeling isn't punishment, it's perspective. Paper fades, but how you treat people stays." He left, smaller, but maybe wiser, and I felt nothing but peace. Time moved on. Lucy left him, too. Grace laughed. Karma doesn't always scream. Sometimes it walks out in heels and never looks back. I didn't celebrate. I just kept working, kept building. When the chance came to Leeds and Near's European expansion, I hesitated. Fear still knocks, even on doors you built yourself, but grace pushed me. You didn't come this far to stop at fear. That's the thing, right? We spend so much time waiting for someone to choose us, to validate our worth, that we forget we've had the power all along to choose ourselves. The night before I left for Amsterdam, I found my old journal, read the line I'd written after Gabriel left. "One day, I will not just be seen, I will be impossible to ignore." I smiled, tears in my eyes, because I finally believed it. You know, Proverbs 22 verse 29 says, "Do you see someone skilled in their work? They will stand before kings. They will not stand before obscure men." That's the lesson. Your value isn't defined by degrees, applause, or anyone else's opinion. It's measured by character, consistency, and the courage to keep growing. Sometimes the people who mock your beginning will witness your transformation. What matters isn't how loud you start, but how well you finish. So what about you? Have you ever let someone else's definition of worth shape your story, or did you decide to write your own? Drop your thoughts in the comments, hit like, and subscribe if this story spoke to you. Don't forget to share it with someone who needs to remember your worth is more than paper. Thanks for listening.